Welcome back to the Payback portal, where we don't just serve justice, we garnish it with a side of petty. If you enjoy watching the corrupt crumble and the entitled lose everything, you are in the right place. Today we are heading into the corporate jungle, where one boss tries to fudge the numbers and finds out exactly why you never mess with the person who writes the reports. Let us begin. The office was always too cold. That is the first thing you notice when you work at a mid-sized data analytics firm like Apex Solutions. It is the kind of cold that settles into your bones, a physical reminder of the sterile, unfeeling nature of corporate bureaucracy. I sat there, day in and day out, bathed in the hum of fluorescent lights that buzzed like a dying insect. My name is Arthur, and I am the guy who prepares the internal reports. It sounds boring, does it not? And frankly, most days, it is. I am the gatekeeper of the truth. I take the raw, messy, chaotic data from sales, marketing, and operations, and I distill it into neat, clean spreadsheets that tell the upper management whether we are sinking or swimming. I take pride in that. Numbers do not lie, people lie. Numbers just are. But lately, the atmosphere at Apex had shifted. The air was thick with tension. We had missed our quarterly targets twice in a row. The shareholders were getting restless, and that anxiety trickled down the corporate ladder like toxic sludge until it landed right on the desk of my direct supervisor, Veronica. Veronica was a piece of work. Imagine someone who read a book on leadership but only memorized the buzzwords without understanding a single thing about human empathy. She was always circling back and synergizing and looking for low-hanging fruit. But beneath the polished veneer and the expensive pantsuits, Veronica was drowning. I could see it in the way her hands shook when she held her third coffee of the morning. I could see it in the way she snapped at interns for breathing too loudly. She was under pressure from the board of directors to show growth. The problem was, there was no growth. The market was stagnant. But Veronica was not the type of person who accepted reality. She was the type of person who believed reality could be bullied into submission. I remember the Tuesday it all started. It was a gray afternoon, the kind where the rain lashes against the windows and makes you wish you were anywhere else. My inbox pinged, a meeting request from Veronica, subject line, urgent review regarding Q3 projections, no agenda attached. My stomach did a little flip. In the corporate world, urgent usually means someone messed up and you need to fix it, and no agenda means I do not want a paper trail of what I am about to ask you. I grabbed my notebook, a habit I picked up years ago, and headed to her glass-walled office. She was sitting there, staring at her monitor with a look of manic intensity. When I knocked, she jumped, then plastered on that fake, shark-like smile. "Arthur, come in," she said, gesturing to the uncomfortable guest chair. "Close the door, will you?" I closed it. The sound of the latch clicking shut felt strangely final, like a cell door. Veronica did not waste time with pleasantries. She spun her monitor around. "Arthur, I have been looking at the preliminary figures for the Q3 report you sent over this morning." "Yes," I said, keeping my voice neutral. "The data from the last 3 months. It is all there." "It is," she said, her smile tightening. "And that is the problem. These numbers, they are not telling the story we need to tell. The narrative is too flat. If we present this to the board next week, heads are going to roll. And I do not intend for one of them to be mine." I nodded slowly. "The market has been slow, Veronica. We discussed this. The competitors are undercutting us." "I do not care about the competitors, Arthur," she snapped, then composed herself. "I care about the optics. Look at column G, the retention rates. They are down by 4%. And the projected revenue in column J? It is missing the target by nearly $200,000. "That is accurate," I said. Veronica leaned forward. The smell of her expensive, cloying perfume filled the space between us. "Accuracy is subjective, Arthur. We deal in projections. We deal in potential. What I need you to do is adjust the parameters." I blinked. "Adjust the parameters? You mean change the formula?" "I mean," she said, her voice dropping to a conspiratorial whisper, "that we have several pending contracts that are 90% sure to close next week. If we were to anticipate those closings and include them in this quarter's realized revenue, the picture would look significantly brighter." I felt a cold chill that had nothing to do with the office air conditioning. "Veronica, that is recognizing revenue before it is earned." That is against generally accepted accounting principles. It is fraud." She waved her hand dismissively as if I had just pointed out a smudge on her window. "Oh, stop being so dramatic with the F word, Arthur. It is not fraud. It is aggressive forecasting. It is standard practice. Everyone does it. I just need you to move some of the Q4 projections into the Q3 realized column, just to bridge the gap. We will fix it in the next quarter once the cash actually lands." "And if the contracts do not close?" I asked. Her eyes narrowed. The shark was surfacing. "They will close, because I will make them close. But right now, I need that report to sing. I need you to go back to your desk, open the spreadsheet, and make those adjustments. Do not send me a draft. Just update the master file and upload it to the central server by 5 p.m. Can you do that?" She was looking at me, daring me to refuse. It was not a question. It was a command. But she was clever. She had not sent an email. She had not written it down. It was just her word against mine in a soundproof glass box. I walked back to my desk, my mind racing. This was it. The moment every corporate drone fears. The ethical crossroads. Option A, I refuse. I stand on my soapbox, quote the company handbook, and tell her I will not do it. Result? She fires me. Maybe not today, maybe not for refusing an order. But she would find a reason. Insubordination, poor performance, cultural mismatch. I would be out on the street, and she would find someone else to click the buttons. Option B, I do it. I fudge the numbers. The board is happy. Veronica gets her bonus. I keep my job. But then, I am an accomplice. When the audit happens, and the audit always happens eventually, my fingerprints are on the gun. I am the one who logged in. I am the one who changed the cells. Veronica would claim ignorance, and I would be the one facing legal action, or at least permanent career suicide. I sat down in my ergonomic chair and stared at the blinking cursor. My heart was thumping against my ribs. I needed a third option. I needed a way to protect myself while giving her exactly what she asked for. I looked at the clock. It was 2:30 p.m. I had 2.5 hours. Then the realization hit me. Veronica was arrogant. She thought I was just a tool, a human calculator. She assumed that because I was quiet, I was submissive. She forgot that my job was literally documentation. My entire career was built on tracking data, logging changes, and maintaining records. If she wanted me to play the game, I would play. But I would play by my rules. I opened my email client. Step 1, the confirmation. I drafted a new email. I kept the tone helpful, almost naive. "Hi, Veronica," I typed. "Just wanted to clarify our conversation from 5 minutes ago regarding the Q3 report. You mentioned that you want me to move the pending contracts for Client X and Client Y into the realized revenue column for Q3, effectively anticipating the close, in order to improve the retention metrics and revenue targets as discussed. Please confirm this is how you would like me to proceed before I alter the master file." I hovered over the send button. This was the bait. If she was smart, she would come running out of her office and scream at me to never put that in writing. If she was desperate, and I suspected she was, she might just slip up. I hit send. Then I waited. 10 minutes passed. I saw her notification light up on her phone through the glass wall. She frowned, picked it up, and typed furiously. My inbox dinged. "Arthur, stop wasting time on emails. Just do as we discussed. We are on a tight deadline. Proceed with the adjustments immediately." Gotcha. She did not explicitly say yes, commit fraud, but she said do as we discussed in response to my explicit description of the fraud. In the eyes of an auditor, that is a smoking gun. But I was not done yet. One email is good. A mountain of evidence is better. I started the work. I opened the master spreadsheet. But before I changed a single digit, I saved a copy of the original, unaltered data. I named it Q3_data_true_source_timestamped and saved it to my personal encrypted drive. And for good measure, I emailed it to my private external email address. Then I began the manipulation. I moved the numbers. I inflated the revenue by exactly the amount she wanted. But for every change I made, I added a comment in the cell metadata. Value adjusted per verbal instruction from Veronica L. at 2:15 p.m. and confirmed via email at 2:45 p.m. Original value 0. I did this for every single falsified entry. On the surface, if you just printed the PDF, it looked like a clean, beautiful report showing massive growth. But if you opened the source file and knew where to look, it was a confession written in digital ink. I did not stop there. I went into the system logs. I took screenshots of the file version history, showing exactly when the changes were made. I organized everything into a folder on my desktop labeled Project CYA Cover Your Anatomy. By 4:45 p.m., the report was a work of fiction that would make Shakespeare proud. We were projected to make record profits. The retention rate was artificially boosted to 98%. It looked perfect. It looked like a lie. I attached the final PDF to an email. Veronica, I wrote, attached is the adjusted Q3 report reflecting the changes you requested regarding the pending contracts. The master file has been updated. Then, I did the most important thing. I went to the BCC field, blind carbon copy. This hides the recipient from the main viewer. I typed in the email address for the company's internal archive system, a server that backs up all correspondence for legal compliance. Even if she deleted the email from her inbox, and even if she wiped my computer, a copy would exist in the vault that only the IT directors could access. I pressed send. The next morning, the mood in the office was electric. Veronica was beaming. She walked past my desk with a strut that screamed victory. Great work, Arthur, she said, tapping my desk as she passed. That report looks fantastic. The board is going to be very pleased. I am glad you are happy with it, Veronica, I said, not looking up from my screen. She went into the conference room for the virtual board meeting at 10 a.m. Through the glass, I could see her gesturing wildly, pointing to the charts on the screen, my charts. I could see the nods of approval from the blurry faces on the monitor. She was selling the lie, and they were buying it. For a week, nothing happened. Veronica was the golden child. She walked around the office like she owned the place, talking about how her strategic vision had turned the quarter around. She even gave me a backhanded compliment in the team meeting. I want to thank the team for their hard work, she said, making eye contact with no one. We really pulled a rabbit out of the hat this time. I just sat there, sipping my lukewarm coffee. I knew something she did not. I knew that the quarterly audit was scheduled for the first Monday of the next month. And I knew that the auditors did not look at PDFs. They looked at the data. I continued my work as usual, but I kept my Project CYA folder updated. Every time she sent a follow-up email about the great numbers, I saved it. Every time she bragged about the bonus she was expecting, I noted the date and time. The tension in my gut was gone, replaced by a cold, hard resolve. I had given her the rope. Now I was just waiting for her to kick the chair. It happened on a Tuesday, exactly 3 weeks after the report was submitted. I was at my desk when I saw the procession. It was not just the internal auditors. It was Mr. Sterling, the VP of Operations, and a woman I recognized as the head of Human Resources. They did not look happy. They looked like executioners. They marched straight past my desk and into Veronica's office. The blinds were open, so the entire floor had a front row seat. I saw Veronica stand up, her smile faltering. I saw Mr. Sterling slam a folder down on her desk. I could not hear the words through the glass, but I could read the body language. Mr. Sterling pointed at the document. Veronica shook her head. She gestured wildly. She looked confused, then defensive, then angry. Then she pointed. She pointed right at me through the glass. My heart rate did not spike. I expected this. This was the moment she threw me under the bus. A moment later, the HR director came out of the office and walked over to my desk. The entire office had gone silent. You could hear a pin drop. Arthur, she said, her voice professional and stern, could you please join us in Veronica's office? Certainly, I said. I stood up. I did not grab my laptop. I did not grab my notepad. I just walked calmly into the lion's den. Inside the office, the air was suffocating. Veronica was red-faced, sweat beading on her forehead. Mr. Sterling looked at me with disappointment. Arthur, Mr. Sterling said, we have found significant discrepancies between the realized revenue reported and the actual bank deposits for the quarter. There is a $200,000 gap. Veronica claims that you prepared the data and that you must have misunderstood the projection parameters. I looked at Veronica. She glared at me, her eyes pleading and threatening at the same time. Take the fall, her eyes said. You are the grunt. I am the boss. She tells us, Sterling continued, that she asked for a projection analysis, but you submitted it as final realized data. Is that true? I looked at Mr. Sterling, then at the HR director, then I turned my gaze to Veronica. No, sir, I said clearly, that is not true. Excuse me, Veronica shrieked. Arthur, do not lie to them. I told you clearly to run a simulation. You submitted the wrong file. I did not, I said, my voice steady. Mr. Sterling, do you have access to your email right now? He frowned. Yes. Please search your inbox for an email from me, dated 3 weeks ago. Subject line, FW, confirmation of Q, 3 data adjustments. Veronica's face went pale. The color drained from her skin so fast I thought she might faint. I don't recall seeing that, Sterling said, pulling out his phone. I did not send it to you then, I said. I sent it to myself. But I just forwarded the entire chain to you and to HR regarding the instructions I received. Mr. Sterling tapped his phone. He read the email. He read my query asking for confirmation of the fraud. He read Veronica's reply. Just do as we discussed. The silence in the room stretched for an eternity. I also, I continued, have the metadata for the spreadsheet cells. If you open the file and click on any of the falsified numbers, you will see my notes documenting the exact time Veronica instructed me to change them. Mr. Sterling looked up from his phone. He looked at Veronica. His expression had shifted from disappointment to cold fury. Veronica, he said, his voice dangerously low, did you authorize these changes? I, Veronica stammered. It was a misunderstanding. I meant for internal use only. Arthur is trying to frame me. He is twisting my words. The email is quite clear, the HR director said, speaking for the first time. And the timestamps match the server logs. I took a step back. I was uncomfortable with the request, I said, adding the final nail to the coffin. But I felt I could not refuse a direct order from my superior without facing retaliation. So I complied, but I ensured the audit trail was preserved so that the company could correct the error before any external filings were made. It was the perfect corporate defense. I had protected the company, I had protected myself, and I had exposed the rot. Mr. Sterling stood up. He did not look at Veronica. He looked at the HR director. Escort Veronica off the premises, immediately. We will deal with the legal ramifications of the board presentation later. You can't do this, Veronica screamed. I have given 5 years to this company. It was 1 quarter. Arthur, you little rat. That is enough, the HR director said, stepping between us. I turned to Mr. Sterling. Is there anything else you need from me, sir? I can restore the original, accurate data within 5 minutes. Do that, Arthur, Sterling said, exhaling a long breath. And thank you for your diligence. I walked out of the office. I sat back down at my desk. 2 minutes later, Veronica was marched out. She was holding a cardboard box. She was crying. She wasn't crying because she was sorry. She was crying because she got caught. As she passed my desk, she didn't look at me. She couldn't. The office rumor mill went into overdrive, but I didn't say a word. I didn't brag. I didn't gossip. I just opened the spreadsheet, deleted the false numbers, and restored the truth. Officially, the company email said Veronica had resigned to pursue other opportunities, but we all knew the truth. She was blacklisted. In our industry, word travels fast. You don't bounce back from falsifying records and trying to frame your team. A week later, Mr. Sterling called me into his office. I thought maybe I was in trouble for not reporting it sooner. Instead, he offered me the senior analyst position. We need people who care about accuracy, he said. I took the raise. I took the new title. And every time I walk past that glass office, which is now occupied by a much nicer, much more competent manager, I smile. Veronica thought she could bully reality. She thought she could use me as a shield. But she forgot the most important rule of the corporate world. If you are going to break the rules, do not do it via email. And definitely do not mess with the person who controls the archives. Justice is not always loud. Sometimes it is just a quiet click of a mouse and a well-placed BCC. And there you have it. Veronica learned the hard way that when you try to throw someone under the bus, you better make sure they aren't driving it. It is deeply satisfying to know that her own arrogance was the architect of her destruction. What would you have done in Arthur's position? Would you have refused outright? Or would you have played the long game like he did? Let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this serving of corporate justice, destroy that like button, subscribe to the Payback portal, and ring the bell so you never miss a story. We have plenty more Payback coming your way. Until next time, keep your receipts and trust no one.